Alright, here we go. How to swap out your brake pads. Of course, first of all, get out your wheel. Do you have a through axle or a quick release? Then you want to go ahead and remove the older brake pads. Now most of the time you will have a little securing pin on your little screw right here, and then get this one out. Now the brake pads are free. Most of the time you can get them out on top. There are a few brake calipers nowadays, SRAM, Maven from the mountain bike series included, who you'll have to get out from beneath. So either you have to remove the brake caliper or the wheel. Once you got your brake pads out, give them a little inspection if they're really worn or how badly they are worn. Now you see we don't have a lot of meat left on them, so that the disc rotor will rub even on the small little spring right here. That can be really annoying, and of course will wear the disc rotor in a really accelerated manner as well, because it's metal on metal. So you'll need to swap them out, that's for sure. Of course, be sure to have some compatible brake pads. They don't need to be from the brand. There are some nice brands who make compatible disc brakes for basically any kind of brake, including Swiss Stop or also Trick Stuff, and nowadays there are much more. Now what's really important is how you prepare your brake caliper before actually installing the new brake pads. So give it a good inspection. Oftentimes you'll see that there's quite a lot of brake dust inside of it, and maybe other kind of dirt that you really don't want in it, because you see if the dirt gets on the pistons and then you push them back, or during braking you brake and then they will go back into the caliper and they have the dust and other dirt on it, it will contaminate the brake from the inside. That's also why your brake fluid will sometimes be really dirty. So this is really a crucial moment when swapping the brake pads. You'll see the dust right here as well. First of all, don't want to do is just install the new brake pads now, get the disc in, and then it will be 100% that the brake pads will rub, because the pistons are pushed out too far. Then you have the new brake pads with a lot of material on, and they will rub because there's no space. So you need to push them back, of course, and then get the whole system like realigned. But in order to do that, you need to push the pistons back first. But you want to get them out first in order to clean them. So get something. So ideally, you'll get something soft, maybe something made of wood or rubber. But it also can be a metal piece. Just be sure you don't damage the pistons. If you have ceramic pistons, that can be pretty bad. So we have approximately 4.5 millimeter, which is enough to put between the pistons, and then we can push them out fully. So we really need to pump the brake and push them out. And because I have put something between them, it is sure that the pistons cannot jump out of the caliper, because that would be really bad. Of course you can get them in again, it's not the end of the world, but it can be quite messy, and you'll surely need to re-bleed your brake if that should happen. Then you'll want to get some kind of, ideally some kind of brush. I have a pipe brush right here, and some cleaning alcohol or any kind of strong brake cleaner. Basically clean out your caliper and also your pistons, of course, and be sure that they always stay in. Maybe during cleaning with the brush you'll push one back unintentionally, so you need to get it out again. What's really important now is just get the pistons and the caliper as clean as possible. What tool can be really helpful is of course some compressed air to really get that last bit of dust out of the caliper. So you have the pistons as clean as possible, also the caliper overall as clean as possible. What you then want to get is, ideally of course, you get your brake fluid from the system. In this case it's mineral oil from Campagnolo, but also the Shimano mineral oil would work. Basically any mineral oil. Just be sure they don't put DOT in it or any kind of other fluid that's in other brake systems. You could get a cotton swab, like a Q-tip, but what I like to do is get a small brush and dip it in this mineral oil. Then basically paint over the part of the piston that will be pushed back in the caliper. And what this does is it cleans the pistons. If there's any dirt left, it will clean it even a bit more. But most of all, it lubricates them with the kind of lubricant that we already have in the system, so nothing gets contaminated. What you don't want to use is any kind of chain lubricant or anything like that, because that will contaminate your brake system. This kind of trick, you're sure that you really don't risk anything. And voila! And now is the point, and only now, where you can push back the pistons in the caliper. You want to be sure that they still stay parallel as possible. You don't want to mess anything up here. And of course, be sure you use a soft kind of thing. A plastic tire lever will work as well. Anything that is softer than the pistons, ideally. So nothing made of metal or any other hard stuff. And what's important with that step is that, especially with Shimano brakes, you will need to put your little funnel on top of the brake. So in order to not not to put too much pressure on the system while pushing back the pistons. And most of the time, actually, the same goes for Campagnolo. So what we'll do, we put a syringe on top. So we have an open system and we can push the pistons back without any worries of overpressuring the system. This, of course, too, is like a minor bleed. You push out any air that's trapped in the system already. And with the syringe on top, you can then basically equalize the system again, put mild pressure on it and release. But back to our pistons, once those are pushed back in, of course you want to re-clean the inside of the caliper, because we now have contaminated it with mineral oil, and you really don't want to get mineral oil on your new brake pads, because that can really ruin them from second one that you use them. So we again clean the inside of the caliper here, nothing is oily. Then ideally you'll dry again with compressed air, and then inspect with some kind of light if you see any wet spots. So then the pistons are pushed back, they are clean. It's time to get our wheel in and check the alignment of the caliper. Just double check the alignment right there. If the disc is nicely centered, then you can get your new brake pads out and in. Of course, secure them with your little screw, also the securing pin. Then if your disc rubs, get a centering tool and just realign the rotor so it won't rub. That sounds fine right now. Then, as I said before, just equalize the pressure again in the system by pumping any additional air out, and then you'll be fine. And that's basically how to swap your brake pads. Of course, it's quite a bit of work, but if you want to do it correctly and cleanly, I really advise you to do it that way, so it will feel like a new brake and you don't have any worries of rubbing brakes. Thanks for checking out this video. I'll see you in the next one.